A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. We're broadcasting live from Lagos, the nation's commercial nerve center. I'm Jeffrey Uzom. As always, they're not complete, just one goon.
The other good is unavoidably absent, but he'll return. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming again to allow us be your companion and make your day start off on a bright note. It's your perfect morning starter. I am Bukola Koka.
So, Bukola, what have you been tracking?
The obvious, the two of the 4 tax reforms bills have been passed by the Senate. I'm not particularly excited until I begin to see implementation and how it will be implemented, and of course how it will impact on the economies of the states. But there are other issues, that are, bedeviling the polity at this point in time. The Labour Party, of course, we saw the back and forth between the 2 factions, or if you like, the 2 groups of the party yesterday. The suspension on the one hand of the Julius Abure-led group of some party members, some of whom were also appointed by the other group to investigate, as part of a committee to investigate Julius Abure for, alleged inter-party activities. That's what they call it. So we'll see how this plays out. But it seems as if the crisis bedeviling the party is one historical, is a pattern that never seems to change. The party was given a chance at the 2023 presidential election, with the emergence of Mr. Peter Obi as its candidate, to show, pretty much change the narrative of the party as the beautiful bride of failed politicians. He didn't win that election, but he gave up a good showing. So now that it has returned to the pattern of infighting, we wonder, if this really is what will color the party for now and for a very long time. But more than ever before, the handwriting seems to be clear on the wall for parties like this that are bedeviled with intra-fighting, and that is, handing a victory and all of the chances to the ruling party, to hold sway and perhaps carry the day at the next elections. And, the same could just be said of the People's Democratic Party as well. Never mind the, purported suit by governors of the party to challenge the state of emergency, of Rivers State, declared in Rivers State. I'm wondering how convincing that is, considering the proverbs being quoted by, the Akwa Ibom State governor, hinting of his own planned or imminent defection. Well, as far as 2027 is concerned, I'm not excited. Jeffrey.
What is going on within the Labour Party looks like an settler,
an indigent
crisis. That's so the Peter Obis, the Alex Otis, and all of the people that they purportedly suspend, as seen in the party, in my view, are like they are the settlers who use the party as an SPV under the influence of what they call the tsunami of Peter Obi. And then people like Abure and some of his people who have been in the party even before the party gained prominence are now fighting for survival in that sense. But I think they should look for a way to reconcile. I think their case, Bukola, is worse than that of the PDP. At least PDP just has, I think, this national secretary which they are trying to sort out, and then disagreement over that position apart from that. But Labour Party is clearly a divided house. One caretaker committee trying to lead the party, and then the Julius Abure-led group. And it's very funny. I was asking the legal advisor yesterday, look at APC, with all the governors they have, they are at least trying to get more governors into their fold. PDP is trying their best to hold on to the few governors, or some of the governors they have. You have only one governor, one. And you suspended that governor, suspended one of your most vocal senators, suspended, and it looks like almost literally, Bukola, literally all the elected officials from the House of Reps to the House or the Senate, many others seem to be standing on the side of the caretaker committee, because I hardly see those ones with the Abure group, although National Assembly members are not members of NEC, it's just the governor and the deputy. So maturity has to take its course. There has to be some political resolution, else going the direction Labour Party is going to be like a very difficult one for them, as you said, in the national election that will be coming up in 2023. But hey, that's not all we're discussing, or that's not what we're discussing today on the program. Let's bring you up to speed with the things we're talking about on some of the highlights we'll be dealing with today, and one of which will be the issue of drug and substance abuse is heavy on the program today. The NDLEA, since the assumption of office of the Buba Marwa as the head of the NDLEA, they've been doing their bit to contribute to eradicating, at least reducing the issue of substance abuse. They've had convictions, they have clearing of forests where some of these substances are grown. There are a couple of other things they've done, rehabilitation as well. So we're going to look into the books of the NDLEA to see what efforts they've been using to carry out some of their actions. How well, how not well, what are the challenges, and what Nigerians need to know when it comes to substance abuse in that sense.
And that's not all on the program today. Of course, we started off by talking about politics, so we'll continue with that somewhere along the line as we project into the 2027 general elections. And joining us for that critical conversation is the chairman of the PDP South-South Zonal Caretaker Committee, Chief Ima Ogidi, who has reaffirmed, of course, on other platforms that the PDP is still strong in Delta State and will, in fact, rise again. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with him on that one, but hey, he's here to represent his party, and of course, we're not expecting anything less during that conversation. So join us, especially if you're from Delta State. You may want to know what his thoughts are.
Absolutely. Beyond all of that, we will talk about Nigeria. We will talk about a lot of things, patriotism, and all of the things we need to see. Nigeria is the only country we actually have. And whether you agree with the government, you disagree with the government, it is very important that Nigeria stays united, because we just have different views on how to better our country. So we'll talk about the issue of patriotism. And we're going to look at what promotes it and what destroys patriotism, because there are factors as well. I'll be joining that conversation sometime on the program.
And you know what intrigues me about this conversation? It's because we're not talking with someone who's from the north, who's from the south, or from the Midwest. We're talking with, you know, someone who has pretty much adopted Nigeria as his own country. And so I look forward to this conversation, and I'm sure that you are too. But that's not all. We'll touch on art again this morning as a healing tool. And of course, you know, no better person than an artist who has various forms of expression with oil and canvas will be our guest this morning. Fatima Messiah comes to speak about her creative visual work.
Okay, so those are some of the things we'll be talking about, as well as your thoughts. Remember, what you're saying on X is going to be highlighted on the program as well. Hashtag CTV Morning Brief is how you get to reach us, as well as our WhatsApp number, our email address. Just send us a message. We'll do our very best to ensure we amplify your voice. But let's take a look at what's happening on the headlines. Okay, let's get to the very first daily. The Vanguard newspaper, today, Thursday, May the 8th, is where we start off from. Terrorist superior weapons. Terrorist superior, just somewhere up there, if you see it. FG faults reps differ with Senate over security summit. Equip local volunteers to confront Boko Haram. Ndume tells FG military. Police recover large cache of ammunition in Jos. Says unpredictable tactics helping terrorists. FG adopts new strategy in war against terrorism. NSA urges media to deny terrorist bandits publicity. Okay, so that is coming from, you know, everybody seems to have their own idea as to how to curb insecurity in that sense. I do not know what the NSA means by we should stop giving me, what do you call it, terrorists and bandits publicity. What does that even mean in English, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu? Is it that when they kill people, we should not report it? What exactly are you talking about? We know the professional lines and how to help manage security, but there cannot be carnage on the plateau and we don't report it because it's giving them publicity. There cannot be killings in Benue and we don't report it. There cannot be killings in Katsina or Nasarawa or Zamfara or Borno. So what exactly do you mean by giving? Because this is like you're indirectly saying the media is giving terrorist publicity. I totally disagree. Do your job as NSA. Do your job as the government we've elected, given the resources to buy weapons, to recruit more people, boots on the ground, and all of that. If there are no killings, we are not going to report. We're not going to manufacture dead bodies. So that issue, forget about it entirely. All right, but the DIFA Security Summit, for me, may just be another talk shop and all of that. So that's the headline that the Vanguard is leading with. FG faults reps differ with Senate over Security Summit.
You know, Jeffrey,
Page 5.
I can't pass up on an opportunity to speak to that because it looks to me like a convenient quest of politicians who oftentimes want to, make the media a scapegoat when, thorny and troubling subject matters like this go awry. And we understand as professionals full well the need to balance national security, the interest of national security, with the right of the people to know. And there are certain fault lines that the media is not supposed to explore as far as reportage is concerned. For instance, going into the enclave of bandits and giving them oxygen. But when, as Jeffrey has said, there is carnage on the plateau, when people are being killed and slaughtered in their homes, as they are, killed in the north central, in Benue, for instance, in the middle of the night, people going to, marauders going to their homes and slaughter them, then the media has a responsibility to inform the world, such that the cry of help of these people can be magnified. And of course, we can rightly lay the blame at the doorstep of security operatives for the failure, the gaping failure to protect lives and property in these communities. We still do not have an explanation as to why these people are slaughtered in their homes as they're killed. And I was looking forward to an explanation about why, the killing happened in one of the local governments in Plateau State that is said to be in proximity to an army division in that state. So we kick against this particular aspect of the narrative that the media should, not report or not give publicity to bandits. We must clarify exactly what that means. So let's go to the next paper this morning. As we look at Blueprint newspaper. Blueprint newspaper this morning is trailing with security as well. And take a look at it. Troops killed 13,543 terrorists in 2 years. 124,408 surrender. And of course, you see two riders there. Insurgents have no access to armed drones. But that is contrary, to the narrative that we get about fighting on the war front. Those who abandon, there's a particular term for it in the army, soldiers who leave the war front, as a result of frustration, and they put up videos. Of course, the army condemns that. Time and again, we hear them say that the terrorists have superior firepower to them. So who do we believe now as far as that is concerned? But the more important point is that there is a big security concern on our hands. Sometimes it looks as if, the armed forces has dealt with it sufficiently. And then again, there is an emergence of a new security threat. There's one more rider, as far as that is concerned, on the front page of Blueprint newspaper this morning. And it says, Idris advises media on terrorist activities. That's coming from the Minister of Information. That's it from the Blueprint newspaper this morning.
You know, one of the things that this government can do to help itself is to be honest. On one hand, I've seen the spokesperson of the army, the former general, Major General Buba, that was a spokesperson. When the issue of drones by terrorists was raised, he said, yeah, they use drones, but nothing to worry about. So where is the minister? Insurgents, no access to armed drones. So perhaps it's the kind of drones he's talking about here. But if they are using drones, I don't know whether they're using those drones for surveillance or not for combats or whatever. I don't know the kinds of drones they are talking about. So maybe clarity, but it's important. I know security can be very tricky. It's not everything you can say in public. However, honesty, because when people die, all of that is thrown out of the window. Let's go to this Nigeria. Labour Party sinks into deeper crisis. Abure suspends Oti, Ireti Kingibe Nwokocha orders. Abia government, rep member dismissed purported suspension. Disciplinary panel set up to try and battle national chairman. I think we've spoken enough about this crisis. I say it's an indigenous settler crisis in the political party.
I like that expression.
Yeah, it is. Abure and the rest of his people are looking like, we were here before you came, you used us as SPV, why do you want to overrun us? So they just need to find a way to settle their crisis. And I think they're not fighting this battle with intelligence, and except some people are being used with smartness, with decorum in that sense, because, as I said, Labour Party has only one governor. And then you suspend that only one governor.
You know, as I said, Jeffrey,
you have one of the most vocal senators in the Labour, a female senator, Ireti Kingibe, and then you suspend that one. What exactly are you, what is the party all about? Without saying, I'm not on anybody's side. I'm saying that the APC is busy celebrating, accepting members, from grassroots members to lawmakers to governor. And we expect that, they say they expect more governors to join them. PDP is trying to hold on to what they have. You have only one, and you're busy dishing out suspension because you're angry. They set up a panel to probe him, and in reply, or in response, they started firing people or suspending people. It's interesting.
You know,
it's
as
quite
I said,
interesting.
The pattern of infighting is historical from the days of late Omotosho and Abdul Salam. The pattern has been, you know, you align with this particular bloc, because Mr. Abure himself was on the side of the late Omotosho, and you know, when it seemed as if INEC recognized Abdul Salam, Mr. Abure defected to the side of Abdul Salam.
We're going to talk more about
those are the issues with the Labour Party.
In fact,
even the contention over the party secretariat is as historical. It's not starting now. So,
no problem. We'll talk about it. I think it's
as far
part
as reconciliation is concerned, it would be a miracle for the Labour Party to reconcile and come under one umbrella.
All right. Those are the headlines. So we'll be back in a moment to bring you what you're saying on X. All right, let's get started with where we left off, from the Labour Party suspending Kingibe, Alex Oti, and 4 others as well. Nigerian poll, you say, then the party itself is on self-destruct mode. I couldn't agree less in that sense. Bukola, you have the next one.
And that is from Justin Isiguzo. I hope I got your name correctly. Isiguzo. And you say the one that is not joining APC is getting suspended in their party. Don't blame APC for this. Absolutely.
Exactly. So when the governor now defects, what will you now do? In fact, they've been on a suspension spree. I remember when the lawmaker, the senator that is in charge of Chairman Ethics Committee, I've forgotten his name, from Edo State, because of the handling of the Natasha issue.
I believe.
Yeah. they were planning to also suspend it. Like Abure people, they are high on suspending people. So I don't know what these guys are trying to achieve. Justin Isinguzo.
I'm taking that one. So
okay.
Mr. Icon is next.
Okay. That's how will a party suspend their sitting politicians? Even if OT forms a party and names it losers in Abia State, he'll still win. Wow, what level of confidence is this? It's heightened confidence, if you will.
Well, the last one here, is it attributed? It's not. Abure can't suspend any
That's
party
from Mr.
member.
Icon. Actually,
but that's from Mr. Icon. So let's go on to the next one.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
You can read that one.
On to the next talking point. And this is in sports. Victor Osimhen's accuracy in hitting his jersey number 45, where it appears on the screen. So let's have that video.
Lighter side, you know, we talk about a lot about politics, serious stuff. So sometimes we just bring these things to remind you that there are things to be excited and laugh about. So Victor Osimhen, it's just like a game. There's a screen where all you have to do is to hit a number just to check your accuracy. So his number in the he's hitting his jersey number accurately and all of that. But moving on from there, we have a video of where people got stuck in an elevator, but were later rescued. If we could move on to that. And do you know that, Bukola, do you know that when I see elevators, I used to imagine these things. It's a bit traumatic. Like, what could happen? You know, what if there's power failure and you get stuck somewhere?
I remember that doctor who was on her housemanship, her name escapes me now, who got stuck in the elevator, but she never lived to tell the story.
That elevator actually collapsed.
Yeah, it collapsed. And I had my heart in my mouth as I watched this ahead of this morning's broadcast. But thankfully, I could hear a sigh of relief as they were rescued.
Yeah, the good news is that they were rescued. Whether it's part that came or they were able to be opened. So sometimes if the staircase is not as high, I just walk. After all, it's physical exercise.
And no matter how sophisticated a building is, I always ask, is the elevator working? Are there any issues before I use the elevator?
Okay, we don't want to tell you where this happens, so for the sake of the honors of the place. Okay, let's talk about some man who is it Yokozuna, they call it, punching above his weight, but a man attempting to carry. So that's where you see, you know, this is what rural people go through. So that's like a tree-size log. This is what a machine should carry. So you see what's going on. God have mercy.
Is this therapy or is this another way of...
I feel he's done it before.
Is it a coping mechanism, you know, to try to forget about buying petrol at 890 naira per litre and a bag of rice at over 100,000 naira? Because I really do not understand this. Because this is more burdensome when you consider the other problems in the country. That's
why I started with rural areas. So these are the challenges. I don't know what it is, whether they usually use vehicle or any form of mobility in that sense to transport this log. But this is like a tree-sized log. I suspect he's been doing this before, but this one was beyond his strength.
Or maybe it's another attempt at breaking the Guinness World Record. You know, I could understand yesterday's performance by people from Ondo State who embarked on the, you know, the tricycle race. I could understand that, but this, I really do not understand it. But
okay, let's go to the next one. I think this has to do with the BRT bus, shuttling TBS to Berger. We've talked about some of these BRT buses, but let's take a look. Okay, this is not a BRT bus one. Truck overloaded with bed foam on scene on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. But this is even, this one is even, this overloaded truck, I think this is even nice. I will not be alarmed. I've seen worse than this.
Oh, definitely.
I've seen way worse than this. This is even...
I've seen trucks looking like they're going east and then they're going west.
Then their tire...
The same vehicle.
Their tire is going to Oju Elegba.
Yeah.
While their body is...
The left wheel is going east and the right wheel is going west.
Is going towards Surulere. But we see this literally every day. Okay. I think that's as much we can take as far as what you're saying on trend is. So we will take a quick break from here and we'll get to our very first conversation for the day right here on the program. So it's back. We're talking politics, we're talking drugs, we're talking several things. And the gentleman has joined us. You'll like him. I promise you that. Join us in just a moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Let's talk about substance abuse in Nigeria and the danger it portends for the country, for citizens, for the nation at large, and some of the efforts that have been put in place to ensure that this is reversed in that sense. I've been joined on the program by two gentlemen, the Director, Media and Advocacy of the NDLEA, Mr. Femi Babafemi. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Femi, thank you for coming on the program. Also right here in our Lagos studio, we have Tochukwu McFoy, convener, Energize First, popularly known as Dr. Foy. He's a speaker, author, and of course, he's also part of the Elevate Africa. He's a trained medical doctor. Don't get it twisted. Well, I was talking to him just a moment ago. He said, Arsenal lost. I said, we'll talk about it later. I'm sorry, Arsenal. Just another time. You lick your wounds like Barca did the other day. But let's talk about what we're talking about, what brought us here. Dr. Foy, let me start with the NDLEA Media and Advocacy Director, Mr. Babafemi. Mr. Babafemi, I saw a list of some of the efforts of the agency for about 5 years now, from convictions to some of the destructions you've done in terms of cannabis farms and all of that, rehabilitation. So when you look at the roll call, there's been a lot that has been done by the NDLEA. But at the end of the day, would you say that this is really, really moving the needle in that sense? Because I remember the Guardian newspaper had done a front pager showing Nigerians what the kind of danger we're in if we don't move fast. So let's start from there. Is the NDLEA doing enough despite what it's done?
Thank you, Jeffrey. Good morning. Indeed, I'll tell you that we have been on the right trajectory. That is certain, because where we are now, definitely, it's not where we were before, and there have been quite just as the statistics on your screen has shown that indeed we have really made a lot of efforts, both on the side of drug demand reduction. That is where we have prevention, where we have treatment, where we have rehabilitation and reintegration, or on the side of drug supply reduction, where we actually have the seizures, the arrest, the prosecution, the confiscation of assets of the drug traffickers and barons, all of those areas. And we are glad again that indeed the issue of substance abuse, the issue of the drug scourge is something on the front burner, is something we've been able to escalate to national discourse, where across the country today people are really getting interested, and that awareness, that level of awareness and sensitization is very high, which is very important. And we're bringing all the stakeholders together under our War Against Drug Abuse, WADA social advocacy initiative, to ensure that everyone is well mobilized enough to be able to own and take part in this whole effort, because our strategy definitely is a whole of society approach, where we get everybody on board to do what we need to do, because just like it's been said, there is a UN projection that in Africa, and when we talk of Africa, you know, you're talking about largely Nigeria and others, but then where we have a projection about 40% rise in drug abuse prevalence, whereas in Across the world, it's about 11%. So see that. So we all have to run this race to ensure that that projection does not come to fruition, and that's exactly what we are doing at the agency to ensure that whether in the area of drug supply reduction, in the area of drug demand reduction, we do all that we need to do, and we're glad that we're getting the support of all the stakeholders, starting from the biggest support from the president, President Bola Tinubu himself, the National Assembly, the judiciary, the civil society, the non-governmental organizations, and everybody. We're getting this support because we know that we can't do it all alone. We need to get everybody so that each and everyone can do what they need to do in their own sphere of influence, especially starting from the family unit, which is the smaller units of the society and where this problem usually starts from. And so if we have to get a solution, if we have to overcome this, we also have to get that started from that unit. And so we're glad that this is happening. I mean, given the volume of seizures, arrests, over 62,000 arrests in the last 51 months, that's over 62,000 arrests and seizures, over 10.3 million kilograms of assorted illicit substances. And when you talk of really deterrence, we're getting more than 11,000 offenders convicted, all of this. And when you also talk of bringing support to those that are really plagued or afflicted by this ailment, that we're talking of over 24,000 persons taking through treatment and rehabilitation centers to ensure that they live their normal life again. So all of these are great efforts just to ensure that we overcome this challenge. We're not yet there, certainly, when you look at the issues. And that's exactly what led again to bringing the wives of all the governors across the country together just 2 days ago in Abuja here to mobilize them so that whatever we're doing at the national level is cascaded down, we're owned by the state, and also down to the grassroots, the communities, the local government level, so that this is not just something that is being done at the national level alone, but want to see the same action, the same initiative being taken care of and penetrating down to the grassroots, so that at the end of the day, nobody will be left out, and ultimately will be able to. Yes, please.
Let's bring it to the Lagos studio and expand the conversation. Dr. Foy, as we look at that data, my producer will put it up again. So it clearly shows that there's an industry out there. You work closely with young people, families, and all of that. I wonder what you see. The NDLE has spoken, but what do you see when you think about substance abuse in Nigeria? How worried should we be in that sense? I remember in 2010 when the World Cup was being held, I was at one of the fan parks at the TBS, and at halftime, normally artists will come and perform, upcoming artists, not established artists. So I was close to the people that were emceeing then, and I saw the backstage was like a chimney of young people. These Nigerian parents, they've not blown, but they are gone in that sense. So walk us through what you know.
I'll tell you that there are many categories and shifting stories at once. So as a creative, for example, creatives use it to escape. Youth unemployment, most times they say when a rich person takes drugs, it's exploring. When a poor person takes drugs, he's lost. But we have lost youths because there's no job, so they must escape. And that's the truth. With the categories of drugs, some use it as dependence because people need it for stimulation, to pull out creativity. Some people don't even think it's wrong in some drug categories, for real. In some other climates, some of these drugs are even legalized, if we are to speak freely. But I think the reason why it's key for me is because I'm both a medical doctor and a creative lead. So I see the end goal of what's happening. And the end goal is neural apathy, neural brokenness. People are not living to their full capacity. That's number one. Number two, I'm scared for the younger ones coming. Not the Gen Z, the Gen Alpha. Because if you check a music video right now, all their celebrities have a red pop in their hand. If I know, even in the songs, there's a lot of, it's becoming cultural. And it's not a Nigerian thing. thankfully, I love what NLA is doing, but the youths live beyond. They live on TikTok. I even hear that there are drug houses on TikTok, and you can purchase your drug, purchase your gummy bear, and your. So it is deeper than we think, but I think that when people understand that the end goal is horrible. The end goal is broken minds and broken neural pathways. The end goal is loss of productivity. Then we can. So what you said is very key. Family has to step in. I respect NDLEA, they're doing a good job, but family, parents have to step in. Number two, we must have convos in not religious concept, but the church is a big deal in Nigeria. Or the mosques. We have to start having real conversations, not pretentious, not Friday and only Sundays, Friday for mosque. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, how do you escape? What do you do? How do you think? Why are you on drugs? Why? Then there's a huge one of relapse. Having a relapse doesn't mean you're an addict. These are things we must educate our youth with.
I'm going to follow up on that, Dr. Foy, because there are so many layers to some of the things that you have said. But let me come to the PR of the agency, for a quick follow-up. Yes, indeed, you're reporting progress, and that's pleasant to note, because if you look at the figure that you have provided for us for the first quarter of 2025, 4,803 arrests as against what was achieved in about 3 years, 2021 to 2024, that's over 57,000, then indeed that is progress. But it's not too soon it's not time to celebrate because of the danger, the concern of insecurity that we have on our hands, either it's Plateau State, Northeast, or the Middle Belt. So my question to you is, Mr. Babafemi, some say that the agency merely carries out a show of force in areas to deter or to check drug trafficking, but doesn't particularly have intelligence, because there's been a strong correlation between insecurity and substance abuse. So the question is the agency working with intelligence rather than a mere show of force in areas, in states of the Federation?
Thank you very much, Bukola, for that question. Awesome. I'll tell you that indeed the new NDLA of today, in all our operations, we're 100% intelligence-led. And there's one quick way to confirm that. You imagine people coming from far and near through our port, the seaport or the airport or even the land borders, how the agency is able to intercept most of those things they are coming in with, or those that are trying to go out. I'll tell you, for instance, let's look at a situation that's where the largest cocaine seizure in the history of this country was made in Ikorodu, Lagos in 2022. That was, an international operation that not only involves the NDLA, but we work very closely with our counterparts in the U.S., that's the Drug Enforcement Administration in the U.S. on that case. Those are instances where you see intelligence playing 100% role. All of these things, all the interceptions you see, they are not guesswork. Absolutely. Absolutely, they are all intelligence-led. They are all based on homing. They are all based on technological interceptions and all of those things. So definitely, we don't just go out without information, without processed information. That's why we have good working relationship with all our partners in Nigeria, whether you talk of customs, police, immigration, the military, civil defense, NAFDAC, everybody. We are all aboard. We are all in synergy with all of these people, and more importantly, with our international partners, because we know that this is a global menace, this is a global challenge, and so we have to work with everybody, especially the source countries. That's where some of these things come from, whether you talk of the border force in the UK, the national crime agencies in the agency in the UK, the INL, that's the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement of the State Department in the US, the Drug Enforcement Administration, that's USD, like I said before, the JAMAS. Yes, please. We're
talking about, the domestic concern. Has your intelligence gathering led you to intercept drugs or supply chains to terror cells in bandit areas in the Northeast, Northwest, North Central?
Absolutely, exactly the same thing I'm saying, that indeed all of, for instance, just this last weekend, we intercepted over 942 explosives going to Zamfara in Kaduna there. That particular consignment emanated from Nasarawa, going through Kaduna to Zamfara, and we were able to intercept that on the way. So that's why exactly what I'm saying. Indeed, there is a very strong nexus between the problem of substance abuse, illicit drug trafficking, and the security challenges, and that's why one of the items, Resolution 7 of the communique issued by the Governor Spouses Forum just on Tuesday, the item 7 there, stated clearly the importance, the significance of the fight against substance abuse to the actualization of the renewed hope agenda of the present administration, and that's exactly what we're saying. That indeed, again, the hotel, shown on the screen there, that operation again, where you have an hotel, everybody, you assume, you believe that an hotel is a place for relaxation, a place of accommodation, and then that is being used as a cover to warehouse and distribute illicit substances. Again, we wouldn't have broken in there without intelligence. So all of these show that indeed the agency work with intelligence, and we don't just go on the way. And again, when you see our operatives on the highways, on patrol, or even mountain checkpoints, you see out of 100 vehicles moving on that road, we pull aside some of them, and we make interceptions, some in the wheel of the vehicle, some in the edges of the vehicle, some in other, in first compartments of those vehicles. All of those show indeed we're not seers or magicians. We indeed work with intelligence to be able to discover some of these things, in addition to the fact that we have well-trained officers who are professionals in their own code, and that's exactly all of these, we are very much concerned, and we're very much aware of the fact that if we're able to take the drug issue out of the security challenge, the equation, or the drug equation from the security challenge, would have most likely solved 50% of the problem. And that's why we're mobilizing everybody to give all the necessary, all the needed support to the agency, to all activities, to get involved in their own sphere of influence, so that we'll be able to get this equation out of the problem. And then,
but the challenge remains.
Yes, please.
The security challenge remains. So we're hoping for more progress. There's more to follow up on as far as the agency's approach is concerned, but I'll come to you again if time permits. Let me come to the studio now. Dr. Foy, you've said quite a lot about the motivation for creatives to indulge. And I'm wondering why education makes no difference, because if it is among youths, maybe in the northern part of the country or in the hinterland, that are indulging and they do not know the full implications of, the conduct, it's a different kettle of fish. But we're talking about creatives, and we know full well that sometimes it is they indulge as a result of performance enhancing need for their work. So why doesn't education make a difference?
Because of pressure, but not necessarily peer pressure, productive pressure. Now, we have different kinds of youths, creatives, influencers, creatives, creative services. Social media, for example, is asking for 1 video a day or 2 videos a day. There's the consumption of content. In those days, we didn't have Spotify. We didn't have streaming. So, but right now, there are charts, 1 to 10, and over 1 billion songs every week. So these guys are in a constant journey of comparison and competition. So if you don't have a robust mental framework, you will break down. You will try so hard. You will know the truth. But because of the peer pressure in productivity, it happens to you. I've had cases where, and I know them, I won't call names here, top celebrities who were stars 3 years ago, 4 years ago, last year. And then the algorithm changes the leaderboard, and they're down the pecking order. They're on drugs again. It's a major, major crisis. But the reason is that they also don't have self-reflection, and that life is turn by turn. Life is, in this era, you can't live based on comparison. You shouldn't live based on comparison. You shouldn't live based on what algorithms and media says it is. You have to have some introspection. You have to understand there's time and seasons, and you also have to understand that everything happens for your own. So yeah, so it's a real thing.
So I want you to dwell more and even further on what you started off with.
Yeah.
That what my colleague will call inner equilibrium.
Yes.
It looks like there's no strength of character even before. So let's talk about how people should prepare for stardom. Because there's this, I believe, because the lie that is being put out there, it feels like, oh, now you're there, you need some substance or whatever to help you actualize or be more productive. That is the pressure you're talking about. So what can we tell people that are emerging? I've seen Burna Boy, Wizkid, Davido, Charlie Poppy, a couple of these guys. I've seen them, you know, holding one or two things. I don't want to call the explicit name, I know, but everybody understands.
Yeah.
So when the younger ones come, they feel that, this is what is actually driving this man. I want you, you've worked with literally all of these guys, so I want you to debunk some of this assumption. That's the first one. Two, talk to people that are coming up to help them understand whether or not this is really necessary, because when they see these quote-unquote models and how they practice, they feel that this is what is needed for sustenance.
So first of all, there are two prongs. Some people have one hit and are pursuing another hit, and it never happens in their life, and they become drug dependent. It never happens. While others, to stay on top, they feel they need that level of stimulation. That's the word. It's called stimulation. To stimulate their mind, their awareness, to bring out things from abstract places. Thankfully, we have a few people that are clean. We still have Johnny Drill. We have Timmy Dakolo. We have Will Smith. So what is that? We have to also push clean family artists, number one. Number two, for the younger ones, we have to understand that superstarism in that light might not happen to you.
Because, sorry, when you say that, for instance, they are looking at the big four, or I don't know how you guys categorize. They are looking at Wizkid.
Yes.
And I've seen Wizkid smoke on. You're looking at David.
Yeah.
Davido does. It's looking at Burna.
Yeah.
So if you, with the greatest, I love Timmy Dakolo, I love Johnny Drill. They say, well, they are great, but we want.
That's
you understand what I'm saying?
That's why we have to find a big five and put those guys. This is the reality. It's even beyond even the inspiration. It's cultural. It makes you look good. It's like a flex. It's like a Rolex or a nice watch. So it's even not about only inspiration. So yes, we have to find artists. We have to curate artists that are global stars that also have values.
Okay. Let's take it to Mr. Babafemi. I know you are, he works with the creative, but for you, you're after anybody who is, who is abusing drugs. It's either the person goes, it's either the person goes to jail or the person chooses rehabilitation. You just have those options for them. So first and foremost, what are you doing with celebrities who smoke even public or social, whether in their videos at home? I know of one of the top celebrities. I don't think I've ever seen him not holding anything, literally all the time. So what do you do about those celebrities? That's one question. Two, the kind of atrocities that happen with private jets, what do you do about it? Because I know that Festus Keyamo, the aviation minister, has been fighting that battle around money laundering and all of that. But we also understand that private jet owners also carry out some of this crime in terms of pushing drugs in that sense. So what can you tell us about that as well?
All right, thank you, Jeffrey. Indeed, I would say I agree with virtually everything said right in the studio by the doctor in the studio there. And honestly, the glamorization or glorification of substance abuse by some of our celebrities is a huge challenge. And one of the things we've been trying to addressed within the purview or within the limits of the power of the agency. First, we deploy the carrot and the stick approach. First, for those who are able to cash with these substances, they're going for it. There is no doubt about that, and there is no sacred cow. There is nobody above the law. If we get to with these substances, you're going for it. And a number of them had been arrested and prosecuted and jailed by the court. We have one in 2022, and just few months ago, and I think one of the Nollywood producers was arrested, and he was convicted just recently. I believe he's still in jail at the moment. So that's deploying the stick approach. But again, because we also know the limits of the power of the agency in this regard, we also try to work with this industry. That is, some of these people, we engage with some of them at personal level to see how they can be discouraged from doing this thing. And one of the ways we have also done to handle that is partnering with the groupings that, for instance, in the Nollywood, we are very much in touch with the leadership of the Actors Guild of Nigeria. They've been very supportive. They've been working with the agency in this regard. We work with them information at their locations and all of these people. That has been an awesome development at that level. Again, we have also reached out and engaged with the leadership of the Performing Musicians Association of Nigeria, PIMA, with even the chairmanship executive of the agency, Jeremiah, had actually led a delegation to visit their secretariat in Lekki area of Lagos, I think last year. So all of those, even at the level of the agency, for those who are ready to work with us to promote good content, we also have drug-free celebrities club within the agency where we provide that platform for them to be able to meet, to be able to discuss, and we've had quite a lot of them who have been of good influence. But for those, and again, we also work with other government agencies who have some level of leverage and responsibility in this regard, especially some of the content that are being thrown out there. We work with them to ensure that we're able to manage some of this. But indeed, I'll say that this is where we need everyone, every Nigerian, every stakeholder to get involved to be able to discourage these celebrities from doing what they are doing, because the content they shun out there, they try to do this to market their content. I mean, to promote their trade, but then they are using that to mislead millions of our young minds, millions of their followers.
My apologies. Before we let you, just the private jet beats, so that my colleague can follow up on question.
All right, absolutely. We like I did say, the agency, our operation is 100% intelligence-led. There is no way we would have sufficient information and to work with that would definitely not. And this has been something that has been that's an area where we're very much active. That's the aviation sector. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development. It's a very good partner with the agency, and we're working closely on that I can tell you. And you would have seen most of the the seizures at the airports there. In unexpected places. You see some of these things in holy books. You see some of these things in even in the Statue of Mary. You see some of these things in chocolates. You see some of these things in clothes. In a lot of unexpected places, and so that shows you that we're very much strong and active in that sector, and we definitely put our eye on those ones. Don't forget that, like I said, this is an international thing, and we work with our partners all across the world to track some of these movements, and when we have information, definitely you will hear about some of these things when we strike.
Yes, Mr. Babafemi, we would like to see more of the stick approach for the big sniffers. Either they're in private jets or they're celebrities. But as we wind down now, let's come to the studio. Dr. Foy, I want you to talk to us about the medical aspect. I've seen some touching stories put out by religious bodies who also provide intervention in the area of rehabilitation. There was a story about a young man who was rehabilitated, and he began a good life. Yes. But there was one day one unfortunate day when he went back to his old community and he was killed.
Yes.
So sometimes it seems as if even when they're rehabilitated, that lifestyle didn't leave them. They may have left the lifestyle didn't leave them. In 60 seconds, talk to us about that aspect of rehabilitation.
Yeah. Now, let's say that some drugs, like crack, for example, does damaging things to your brain. Crack actually reshapes your brain. And because it is not physical, it's not malaria, it's a mental flow. That's why we advise, don't take drugs. You might start with taking the easier ones, but then it doesn't catch you again. So with rehab, a few people have done well. There's a guy called Tony Rapo who has done a great job. But we need more rehabs. That's number one. Number two, there's a lot of judgment, self-judgment with drug users. And there's a lot of community thing. So if you leave and come back, they'll kill you. They feel you betrayed them. They bond on a certain level of vibe and energy. So we need to do more rehabs. I keep saying that the religious bodies have to now become just past Sundays and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because a lot of people in their bodies are on drugs. A lot. I know them. So Mondays have to be something else. No, they're preaching, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and same as the mosques. That's number two. And finally, we need to get influencers online. If people saying that this is not necessary, and show people that your brain is being damaged, your efficiency is being, and you will hurt your family.
Well said, Dr. Foy. Thank you so much. It's quite an impactful, insightful conversation. Mr. Babafemi, just an intel I want to give you before we sign off. Somebody sent this email saying, in FCT in Caro Village, precisely, you can see teenagers openly hawking illicit drugs. Surprisingly, there is police stop and checkpoints, and these nefarious activities go unchallenged. This is within the abattoir access. So I've just given you one intel. Maybe from here you just go straight.
It's actually an area that our command in Abuja raid almost every week.
Okay. So I'm happy you know. So there's morning duty for you today.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, Femi Babafemi, Director of Media and Advocacy of the NDLEA, joining us from Abuja studio. Also, Tochukwu McFoy, known as Dr. Foy, convener of Energize, first speaker, author, chief storyteller at Elevator Africa, a trained medical doctor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on the program, gentlemen. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll switch gears. I think now to talk politics, of course, playing out in Delta States, the defections, and what PDP is doing to stay afloat. Join us again in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. It's time now to talk politics, and not necessarily from an expansive point of view. Of course, that may come into the picture somewhere along the line, but we're looking specifically at the main opposition, the People's Democratic Party, and we're going to Delta State, of course, for good reason, following the defection of the governor, the former governor, and of course, some other leaders of the party. And joining us to have this conversation this morning is the chairman, PDP South-South Zonal Caretaker Committee, Chief Ima Ogidi. He joins us virtually from Delta State, Asaba, the capital. Chief, good morning, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning, my dear sister. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We hear that there's, you know, some rallying of the Delta PDP to put its house in order, but I'm wondering where that is leading, if it is leading anywhere, especially as you have 6 members of the House of Reps from the PDP who have defected to the All Progressives Congress, the Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly, Dennis Guwo, and 21 other PDP members have defected to the APC, and that makes the Delta Assembly now an APC, a one-party assembly. So what is there really to rally about? Isn't the PDP in Delta dead and buried, Chief?
our members in the Delta State, well, since they have confirmed their defection, like we said earlier, we are going to put the legal process on, and we have to take our mandate. PDP is still strong in Delta State. Yes, it's true. There was this wave, it's like a flood. Now that the flood, I'm sure, is heavy, the good ones will definitely come back. And we're waiting for them.
All right, let's talk about the legality now of or what may be the legal consequences, particularly, following that judgment on the Delta, the Rivers Assembly defectors, if you like, now purported because of the controversy surrounding their defection. Have you secured the letters of notification to confirm that indeed these lawmakers, state assembly lawmakers, defected? And will you be challenging this in court so that we do not have a part 2 of what happened in Rivers State, in Delta State?
Definitely, we're going to challenge it. We are going to challenge it in court, yes.
But have you received confirmation in documentation from these defectors that indeed they have defected?
We'll get it eventually. Yes.
All right, let's talk about the fates now of Delta PDP in the next elections, particularly, with the very strong presence of, the former Deputy Senate President and former Deputy Senate President Omoagege, who also has a governorship ambition. He was the candidate of the APC in the last election. What are your projections in that regard as the governor has now defected to the All Progressives Congress?
One thing at a time. We still have a long way to go. First, we want to test the courts and see what we can do about the depression. But of course, that will be a problem. We are sure that we're going to take back our mandate. That is, PDP is going to return in Delta State. Because all the development in that 26 years, we've done by PDP.
All right, Chief Ogidi, let's talk about this. It's easy to say you're going to recover the mandate. I do not know.
Chief Ogidi, I don't know. I think the last time, correct me if I'm wrong, which we reference as the locus classicus here, Abegunde versus the House of Assembly in Ondo State. That was a long time ago, which talks about interpreting Section 109, subsection 1G, that the political class sometimes turned that section on its head in this sense. So when you say confidently you're going to recover your mandate, what exactly do you have in your kitty that is different from what we already know? Because the argument here is, there's still debate over who is your national secretary, at least that position. Let's just stay with that. For instance, there are people that don't want Damagund, there are people that want him, but at least Damagund is still in charge. National secretary, whether it's Udo Okoye or it's Sam Mayanwu, the governors have taken a position. So that's premise number one. In fact, that was premise for the Rivers defectors when they actually defected before they walked back in that sense. Second, you are in charge of the caretaker committee in the South-South, but there's also the people that are holding on to the South-South zone as the leaders of the South-South elected in Calabar. So we can look at some of the divisions within the space, although the law talks about national to be able to adjudicate over defection. So what do you have that is so strong that you're confident that you'll be able to get this mandate back, especially from the lawmakers?
Well, sometimes my yes is true. Those who say they are from the South-South, they're imposters. Remember the Supreme Court gave that judgment that the party decides. And the party decides that put at the headquarters. The South-South zone is not independent. It's part of the national. And I've been attending national meeting. I'm a member of the National Working Committee. And by the grace of God, we have said that on the 27th of this month, we're going to have our next meeting. And I guess by that time, all these issues will be resolved. And then we'll not start facing it. The good thing is that we have time. But some politicians are very patient. That's why we have all this.
So, in rebuilding, for those who are still within your party, what exactly are you telling them right now to make them to stay in that sense? This is default PDP state until this quote-unquote tsunami happen. So for the ones that are keeping faith with the PDP, what exactly are you telling them out? Because it's about negotiation, it's about interest. What are you putting on the table to make them stay?
That they are not even telling me. That they're not going anywhere, that they have the belief in PDP. So my job is very easy.
So they are saying they will not go anywhere. Okay. Because as it stands, just a moment, yes. Chief Ogidi, just a moment. So because election, political parties, they are platform for winning election primarily, and then we can talk about the issue of the ideology, which for me doesn't exist in the first place. So as it stands now, if there is an election, I don't see what PDP can do as far as the PDP is concerned in Delta State, whether at the national presidential election or the governorship election, because those are the kind of questions ordinary citizens who are not partisan will be asking. So if they want an alternative, how robust is PDP in Delta to be able to give them that buffer?
We want to test it. We want to test it. We are confident we have the people. The masses are behind us. So we're going for the test.
Chief Ogidi, I'm wondering what you hinge your confidence on, because many of the leaders, the leading voices of the PDP in Delta, have defected to the All Progressives Congress. And in fact, there is talk about the uncertainty about where the leader and the most respected member of the PDP in Delta State, where his loyalties lie now, whether it's in the APC or the People's Democratic Party, his own home political party. I'm talking about Chief James Ibori. So if you do not even have his support and you can confirm that, what is the strategy for the PDP to reclaim its mandate in the next election? So first of all, talk to us about where exactly Chief Ibori lies as far as political party representation is concerned.
It's a strong man. He's a leader in his own rights. And everybody consulting, there's no doubt about that. And I have plans to reach him too. But what I'm trying to say is that the base is PDP. Delta State is PDP. It's rooted. It's difficult to uproot the PDP from Delta State. That's what's giving me confidence.
So is Chief Ibori still in PDP?
Because we have already developed to show for him.
Did you just...
He has not told us they have left. It was an elder statesman now. He's watching what is going on.
But yes. Can you confidently say that you are assured of his support for the 2027 elections?
Because it's academic. It's academic development. I don't see how we want to run away from it.
Okay, talk to us about
PDP today in Delta State. Yes.
All right, Chief Ogidi, talk to us about the talks of this coalition ahead of 2027, particularly because that may have been punctured by revelations by the former governor of your state, Chief Ifeanyi Okowa, that in fact the presidential candidate of your party, Chief Atiku Abubakar, has hinted that to him now that he also may be leaving the PDP. So how confident are you that this coalition is anything that Nigerians should take seriously?
Well, you see, there's been so much talk about coalition. Even our former president, Obasanjo, said that it's going to be tough for one party alone to win the election. But like we all know today, PDP is still the most viable opposition. And I'm sure by the time we meet in the neck, we're going to review all these comments and we'll take a position on it.
I know that your neck... Chief Ogidi, as much as we all like to see your neck hold, but I know your neck has been in perpetual postponement in that sense, with the greatest sense of respect. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Under some flimsy excuse one time or the other, May 27th is neck that's been proposed. And already, part of what was hinged as part of the cues by Oborewore and the rest to say, I think we want to just excuse ourselves, is to the effect of the position of the governors of the PDP on some decisions they took in Ibadan. So how confident are you that NEC will hold? That's one. Two, how confident are you that the PDP will do what every Nigerian who watches the party expects them to do, to make hard decisions? It looks like NEC is being postponed because everybody's afraid of everybody.
Where is it? By the grace of God, we are trying to put all this behind it. And it is said we are going to be at 27 by the grace of God.
Okay, as we custom now, Chief, that suit, I keep referring to it time and again by PDP governors to challenge the state of emergency declaration in Rivers State. Is it something that Nigerians should take seriously, particularly because of hints of another defection by another PDP governor?
Well, as it stands, Nigeria will take us serious. But if they want to pull out, fine. Because tomorrow it will be there. As a governor, you need to test it. But if you want to pull out, and it happens to you tomorrow, where will you run to?
All right. We must thank you very much, Dr. Ogidi, for your time on the program. And we hope that your optimism gives us more. Yeah, you were going to say something?
I'm not a
Okay, you're not a doctor.
I didn't get that, sir.
Oh. Give me another title now, you're building a man. I'm not a doctor.
Okay. Pardon me, sir. Chief Ima Ogidi, thank you so much, sir. We've been talking with the chairman, PDP South Zonal Caretaker Committee, who joined us virtually from Asaba. Chief Ima Ogidi, thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very much.
And so from here, we move on to another important talking point, very critical, patriotism, but you'll be hearing from somebody that you didn't expect. So stay with us for that conversation. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. Let's talk about patriotism and love for country. We're being joined in the program by Mohammed Jamal, is the CEO, Thream Plus Integrated Enterprises Limited, and the founder, Mona Lisa Sports and Recreational Park, Abuja. Mr. Jamal, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
I understand you're an Arsenal fan. Is that correct?
It's like Kayode decided not to come today because we lost yesterday, and I thought today we would be consoling each other. Unfortunately, he ditched me.
You know, that's not the question. Are you an Arsenal fan?
A die-hard, loyal Arsenal fan.
Okay, so take heart. We empathize, we sympathize with you, just like we sympathize with Dr. Foy.
Thank you.
I know that somebody had said that if Arsenal had won that match yesterday, in Nigeria, say we'll know the year award by now. But okay. It happens.
Well, maybe I would have worn my Arsenal jersey.
All right, Jamal. So let's look a bit. Let's look at background first. Where were you born? Where are you originally? Your love for. We'll come to your love for Nigeria, but just give us a bit of your background, so we'll contextualize this properly.
Yeah. So my name is Mohammed Jamal, born and bred in Jos, Plateau State. I'm from Jos North local government, and I'm a third-generation Nigerian.
Okay, so let's walk back that third generation. Where are the grannies from, or great-grand-grannies from?
Originally, my great-grandparents are Lebanese.
Okay, Lebanese. So talk to us about this love for, because sometimes people have said that Nigerians sometimes we look at more of the negative than the positive. Like every other society, there are good, bad, and the ugly. But you've taken it upon yourself to say, look, I love this country. I'll do my best to represent this country. Tell us where that optimism is coming from.
So I think everybody has a role to play in every country, and their patriotism comes from that. So the news already has, that's the job of the news to always post about, things that are happening, and especially in negative. You always see in front of every newspaper, you always see a negative. You'll never see a positive. Maybe once every 3 years or 2 years, you'll see a positive thing. But for me, my own niche is to talk only about positivity, and that's what I do. So whenever there's anything positive happening, that's when I post, that's when I promote it.
So how do you navigate in reality? So for instance now, the economy is biting hard. I know it affects even your own business, individuals, and all of that. How do you walk above this water to talk about this positivity despite the very crunching situation we found ourselves?
So I feel like we have elected leaders, and if, they are there to help in situations like that. So whenever I feel like there's something that is hitting me hard, I am sure 100% that is also hitting them hard. So my hope, or what I try to always tell people is they know what is going on, and I'm sure they are working on it, because that's why they were elected. So that's the hope I have. Everything has a timeline. Everything, I know issues that I probably had 3 years ago that I probably thought, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me, but I can't remember them now. So it's about learning how to manage yourselves and moving forward in the situation that you're in.
For me, I'm curious about your accent. I know you were born and brought up and bred in Jos. You've said that a lot in your interviews. But you have the parents of different nationalities, I believe, and somehow they may not have lost their accent. So I just want you to talk to us about that. Is your accent, a deliberate, conscious effort because of your love for Nigeria?
So is it the current accent? Have you heard Kayode's accent, for example? The day I met Kayode, 2 weeks ago, Kayode had that deep accent, and I'm like, guy, where you go school, which kind of accent is this one? But it's like his accent is actually just there. But me, it depends on who I'm talking to be honest. I went to an American school in Jos, Hillcrest, and then, went to the UK. But, we grew up speaking Pidgin English, normal way, and also I also speak Hausa. But you'll see, the thing is, my accent, I guess it depends on who I'm talking to. So you guys that have small phoneme, I have to, add the phoneme to it. But in reality, whenever I just meet people, depends. I just put on the accent that I want to. So.
But do you speak Lebanese or your mom's language?
I speak a little bit of Arabic, but I can't read and write. But I'm learning, and I'm putting my kids through to also, learn it, a bit of Arabic. The mother is Colombian, my wife, and so I speak a bit of Hausa, a bit of Arabic, obviously Pidgin English.
All right, so
tiny bit of Spanish as well.
So it's undeniable, despite all of those little languages that you speak, that you are Niger in your DNA. Your skin may just be different. Now, talk to us about those who say, white Nigerian. Of course, it's easy for him to be patriotic because he was born with a silver spoon. You went to American Hillcrest School. You went to the UK for your university, and you pretty much had everything, at your disposal, and you got a platform to launch into business that you're into now. So for Nigerians who have got the short end of the stick, particularly young people who are disillusioned, who are saying to you that it's easy for you to be patriotic, what would you say to them?
So my question to them is, how many other people have had those opportunities? How many other people have been given the silver spoon, and what did they do with it? That is a question that they should be asking. You even have people like Davido, who, is promoting Nigeria worldwide. Afrobeats has gone. He was given, probably the same privileges that I was, growing up. And I would go back to someone like Wizkid. Wizkid on his side, he may not have had those same privileges. So it's about how hard you work. It's about what you use the opportunities that you're given to do. And that's what the focus should be on, not whether you were born with a silver spoon or we don't post, the struggles that we go through. We only post on social media, the good things that are happening in our lives. And that goes for everybody. So my struggle might be different from someone else's struggle. But as they say, everybody has their own struggle. It's just different way.
Yeah, it rallies around the economic conversation for most times. So, in fact, Davido is still struggling.
Go back into
Davido is still struggling in that sense. In fact, I saw a video of a skit maker when the person gave him a flower and said, "Take your flower." I said, "Thank you," because they really don't give me flowers. Because in the business where I'm in, talking to Davido now, people like the grass to grace story. Since I came from grace, they feel that my story is fictitious in that sense. So he still has his own struggle. And that's, I'm saying that to come to you to say, when you meet people and you tell them I'm Nigerian, if you go to, say, Zimbabwe and maybe part of Uganda, but especially South Africa, it's common to see a white South African and a black South African in that sense. There's nothing really out of place. But a white Nigerians are still looking at you. So how do they look at you when you say I'm Nigerian?
So let me even clarify where the name came from. I did not give myself the name White Nigerian. The name was given to me when I was in the UK. Because, at uni, when I was there, all the Nigerians will introduce me to each other as, have you met that white Nigerian guy? Have you met that white Nigerian guy? And that's how the name came up. So I did not give myself the name White Nigerian. It was given to me, and that's how, the name started. I think it was AY when he had an event, he called me and, he put my name as Mohammed Jamal, White Nigerian underneath. And that's how the name just stuck to me. And that's how everybody started calling me White Nigerian. So me, whether not white, black, any color, me, Nigerian.
I see that you have a lot of mental strength to face anything. But we're going to come to you all. But I want to show you this picture and how it was for you at the camp when you served in at the NYC. So that's you. You look more like the commander of the NYC than the NYC.
I was my platoon commander.
In fact, you looked in that first picture like the younger version of Muammar Gaddafi, pardon me. But you reminded me of him.
Okay. Talk to us about this experience, Jamal. So this is you at the NYC camp, whether you're commanding or being commanded. Talk to us about that experience. Then I'll come to what you do.
Yeah. So I would like to say that NYC was one of my best experiences, to be honest. I really, really enjoyed NYC, both the camp, the people I met, it was really, really nice. NYC is something that everybody should do. It's really something that, brings that unity, because you meet people from every part of the country in your camp, and that's the lovely thing about it. And people get to learn from each other. You share cultures. There are some people that have never left their city before. So they come to the north maybe from Lagos. They come to Abuja. They probably did not know that this is what Abuja looks like. Or somebody from Kano going to Lagos is like, wow, I didn't know Lagos like this. Because they've never left. But with NYSC, that gives you the opportunity to move around the country and to actually learn about other people's cultures, and religion, and bringing people together and closer to respect one another, basically. So I really feel like NYSC is really a good thing for promoting Nigeria and people, basically, to engage with one another.
And that position will do a lot, to add flesh to the continued debate about the role of the NYSC in national cohesion. But some may be watching you now and they're thinking, oh, okay, he is a businessman who is a patriotic Nigerian, but they may not recall your creative side. I've seen you in an old music video where you were rapping. You've talked about the comedy side of you in past and some recent interviews. So talk to us about that side of you, and if you'll be exploring it again anytime soon.
Okay, so basically, I really hustled in my life. I don't hustle. So when people say, obviously, as I don't, this guy had a silver spoon and all of that, bro. I don't hustle for this life. I don't do comedy. I don't do music. I don't act film self. There's nothing that I really not done. But my focus was on my business. That's what I went to study in university. So until 2014, I decided, look, entertainment is not for me. I'm married now. I have my first daughter, and let me just close that chapter and focus on my business.
All right, fantastic. So let's talk about your campaign in your love for Nigeria, and in details now. So, what exactly beyond the comments and beyond some of the things you've told us are you doing to put Nigeria out there to say, okay, it's not all shades of ugly and bad as people want to say or see it to be. There are also this and that or the other. Is there a program to that effect that you're putting out from where you sit?
So with patriotism, it's all about your love for your country and your loyalty to your country, and then also what you give back to your country. So I'll give you an example. About 10 years ago, when I just come back from university, I was like, there's a Unity Fountain right here in Abuja, and we have a fountain that has the names of every single state, of Nigeria. But what we don't have is the flag, the thing that unites us. So it has everything about it. So I even, sent a proposal at that time, requesting for putting up a flag in Unity Fountain. And, at that time, the minister, sent me, I think it was development control. We went there, we inspected. But unfortunately, it didn't get approved. 10 years later, I found an even better location, at our place at Mona Lisa. And right behind it is Aso Rock. So that's where I decided to put up the big Nigerian flag with a big I love Nigeria, so that when people come to Abuja, anytime you visit Nigeria, you would want to come here to take a picture and just always remind you for the love you have for your country. And even for foreigners, when they come here, they're looking for where to take a picture. And that will remind them of Nigeria.
That's very, very laudable and inspiring. But there are concerns that, I don't want to say work against your campaign, but they're very real as far as your campaign is concerned. And that is the conduct of some Nigerians, not all Nigerians now, must emphasize that, some Nigerians abroad, either it's crime or trafficking or, all the others in that mix. And in fact, in recent times, the UK is planning a visa crackdown on Nigerians and some other countries over overstay concerns. So how do you see this, first of all? And, what's your message to Nigerians, particularly those who are very, very committed to the Japa syndrome and are just waiting, for that 10 million target, to leave the country?
So I'll tell you, I was part of, people affected by the Japa syndrome. My best staff, 10 of them also, Japa'd in, I think, 2021. And I had to literally start from scratch. However, I've had, been employing, people, and I've been able to, get some great, amazing people. And a lot have been done, since they left. But it really affected me at that time. And I would say it's not greener the grass is not greener on the other side. They also still have their struggles, because I keep in touch with them. They have their struggles. I lived in London. I know what it's like living abroad. It's not, greener on the other side as people always think. In Nigeria, when you come back, if you really put in the same hard work you put in when you go abroad, the way that they go and work, 12 hours, sometimes, 16, 18 hours just to survive abroad, you put in that same hard work here in Nigeria, you will make it. You will even do better than you'll be doing abroad. But there is just that Japa syndrome that people just want to feel like they are abroad. But look, Nigeria is a much better place to be if you're going to put in the same hard work that you're going to decide to do abroad.
That's instructive. The argument sometimes used to be, so we have people abroad as well. We know a lot of people, either family members, friends, colleagues, and all of that. The counter-argument sometimes to be that the basics are sorted in that sense. All you need is your hard work to be able to get above the water. But right here, you have a lot of the basics that you're still providing: security, water, you know, literally anything that should be provided. You literally are your own government in that sense. So they feel that it's a burden in that sense. So they put in 12, 13 hours, but just to earn, not that they are looking for water, they are looking for electricity and all of that. But we must thank you so much for being a great representation of the country, Nigeria. But in closing, tell us about what you have up your sleeve, maybe in 2025 in that sense, to further promote Nigeria even at a higher scale.
So, you know, it's not really a campaign that I'm doing. It's just who I am, you know. You mentioned campaign a few times. There's no really agenda for me. It's just who I am and, you know, what I do. And I feel like, you know, for people out there, you know, whatever it is that Nigeria is going through, for example, even Arsenal, you know, will always still be diehard Arsenal fans, will always still be diehard Nigerian fans. There are people out there that, you know, are trying to do the right thing to make lives better for Nigerians. And I feel at the end of the day, you know, no matter how long it takes, it will eventually come. And Nigeria is such a prosperous country, it has so much potential that we will eventually get there. How long it will take, I don't know. I feel like Nigeria needs a map, not really a map, but Nigeria needs, what do you call that thing that they, it skipped my mind. But you know, before you build anything, you literally have to, okay, master plan. Yeah. So you need to have a master plan. We need to have a master plan for Nigeria that will take this country forward in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. Where do we want to be in the next 50 years? So that, you know, the citizens can look at that and say, okay, yes, the leaders are doing good in this and we're promoting what we said we're going to promote and what we're trying to do. But I think Nigeria needs a full master plan, you know, to tell us how and where we want to go. You need a direction, you need a focus, and I feel like, you know, that our leaders should look into that.
Fantastic. We hope the government is listening, and the government now is all of us, so be able to put out that lovely master plan. Almost. Thank you so much. And again, I know that Arsenal, I don't know any set of fans that are more loyal than Arsenal. I ran away from Arsenal almost 20 years ago. And I think I'm happy I did. So, Jamal,
you are not a loyal man.
No, I ran away. I ran away from Arsenal. Mohammed Jamal, CEO 3 Plus.
Thank you so
much. Integrated Services, founder Mona Lisa Sports and Recreational Park, Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us from our Abuja studios.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we will switch gears to the arts, as well as some of the things you're saying, whether via email, whether WhatsApp, or even an X. We'll bring you up to speed with your thoughts as well. Join us again in just a moment.
And so everyone needs one form of coping mechanism or the other. And our next guest has found healing in art. She is Fatima Messiah, creative visual artist and art therapist, founder of Colorful Whispers. She's right there in our Abuja studios. Good morning, Fatima. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm good. Thank you.
And you're looking colorful, just as your art, maybe even more beautiful. Okay, so before we begin to talk about the healing part of it, tell us how you found art, or how art found you.
Interesting journey. I studied art in the university. My father was an international photographer. In fact, I wrote arts for WAEC. I went over to university. I studied at University of Maiduguri. and I studied creative art, majored in graphics and illustration, and I found myself, after graduation, painting, and then using multiple mediums to express myself. And after that, I now discovered that, okay, I'm an artist. What do I do to give myself an edge or to create something unique out of the art? So I went further to start capacity building, self-development journey, whereby I stumbled across, actually, art has the ability to heal, and is actually one of the major modalities for healing. One of the healing, it facilitates healing. So, and ever since then, it has been an amazing journey.
All right, we'll expand more on the healing part later. But as we progress now, looking at some of your works, they're very colorful. There's something even joyful. There's a message of optimism in some of your works that we have seen, but particularly at the start of the program. Talk to us about the messaging, even though I can perceive that, but it also appears to be a lot more abstract. So perhaps when the pictures begin to show as you speak, you can speak to them one by one.
Okay. Basically, my works are a form of symbolism and self-expression. I want it to be in such a way that even though I have my own story and I have my own theme when I'm creating an artwork, but I want it to be very engaging with my audience. I want it to be stimulating. I want to stimulate some certain kind of feelings to them. Something that it is even maybe forgotten or unaware, to just bring it to the forefront. This one you're seeing now, I call it the Arewa woman. And it has a lot to do with how shy, laid back, quiet, just be at the background we normally believe, the assumption is to be. So I would, my work has colorful and strong message. And then there's, if you can look at it well, there's this sequence about it that has a lot to do with boldness, creativity, self-expression, and when you're talking about stimulating something in someone, you will now look at it and you have your own kind of interpretation that would stimulate some kind of awareness in you. It will draw you inside. You now wonder, what's going on? What's happening? And then you now have your own kind of interpretation, which I would want us to have an engagement. If we engage on one-on-one or maybe in an audience conversation, you now discover that everyone has his own interpretation and meaning to life and things you see. So we all see things through our own window.
So for instance, this one now, what are you trying to convey with this? Okay, it's okay, you can talk about this one.
This one, I call it Synergy. It was an exhibition that we just recently done. I made it purposely for the International Women's Day. And it has a poem on it whereby we're talking about how different we are as women, but then we can come together and then something very powerful usually comes in, or we erupt and bring out something very, very good. When women come together and sit together to bring up something. We're different in our own way. That's why we have this. You can see the distinctive features and nature and characteristics of the red, the yellows, the fire and the water, or the fire and the sea. Two different energy coming together, but then there's this form of balance in between. You can see there are two different things, the fire alone and the water or the ice alone. But yet, I have a very beautiful representation or picture there that you can see. And then they sit together in a way. There's a way you can still, it's still subtle to the eye, or they still marry together and they're still, you can still look at it and you enjoy it in a way, right?
Also, so For people who see art as a bit elitist, so which, you know, in terms of the costs, in terms of even its appreciation, because access is critically important, although talent has nothing to do with how you were born. It's talent that can be developed. But people see art as more elitist. How do you appeal to them? Because they don't go to some of these galleries to, you know, appreciate some of these works. But in your view, from what you've expressed to us, it looks like everybody needs to have some relationship with art.
Yeah, directly or indirectly, you still have that relationship to art, because even the way we dress, the way we live our lives, our offices, our homes, there's some certain kind of expression one way or the other. It's just that some people go extra while some are very conservative in terms of choices of life. So we're just being ourselves in different way and expressing ourselves in a very unique way that is peculiar to individual. So whether we like it or not, even in the most cooperative thing or most formal setting, there's still some kind of art, directly or indirectly, whether you're aware of it or not, it's still there.
So will it be fair to say that anything that is scribbled by an artist is some form of art, since it's subject to multiple interpretation in that sense? Because I saw something online and people were looking at it in a very funny way, almost sarcastic in that sense. Somebody just stood up and just ran across a line and drew something, and everybody was clapping. I'm wondering, what exactly did this guy do that is so special? But there were people that were cheering like he did something really powerful. So is it fair to say that whatever the artist puts out, you know, is art in that sense, no matter how ludicrous or how exciting it is?
Yes, actually, because I remember when I was back then, when I was in school, we used to have this saying, there's no mistake in art. And you can have probably an assignment or there's a work going on, depending on the kind of work you're doing. You can easily, or probably if you look at it deeply, there's a way you can rectify it. And then there's a way, like my kind of art, some people will resonate with it, while some will not resonate with it. So also personally, I have the kind of works that attracts me, and then there are some that, okay, they're just there, they're a work of art, I appreciate them, but they're not my type of work. Just like what I'm wearing now, if you look at it well, I did the painting, and they're hand painted, they're fabric painting. So it's a work of art.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now let's come to the healing part.
Okay.
You know, for you, you say it's a therapy, but for, you know, art connoisseurs who are appreciating it, how do they participate in that healing? I'd like you to open the door to your healing experience to us and help us understand how you derive healing from something that you exert energy and time on.
When it comes to the healing part, we keep aside professionalism. The main aim is to provide a safe space and a safe zone. You come, depending on what you want. For example, now I had a session some few months' time, or maybe years, okay, few weeks back or months' time. Like mostly my sessions, I have theme that I want to achieve, depending on the peculiarity of my clients or the need of the client at that point in time. So, you know, you find out that some people, because of the peculiarity of their situation at that point in time, some people are quite stressed, some people are floating, some people are not even aware of their environment because of what they have been through. So to bring out their senses back, as simple as scribbles or crayon or colored pencil session, it's not like you're bringing it, oh, okay, this is a therapy session, because we have this idea of therapy being something very intense. Yeah, there are situations that you do the intense one, but you see the art part comes when you want someone to relax. You're trying to bring the senses back to itself. And mindfulness. So it's really good when it comes to stop the mind from ruminating or bring back the senses into a whole, more like awareness in terms of mindfulness, be aware. For example, now, if I say, how do you feel about your small toe? The small toe. So you see, automatically now, you were not aware of it. But me calling it, it has taken your mind to it. Or what can you perceive now at the studio? What can you feel? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So automatically, yeah, it is directed at where I want the mind to go to.
Okay, so let's talk about your workload in that sense, Messiah. Let's talk about how many pieces of artwork do you put out, say, in a month, and how affordable? I'm not saying tell us how much it costs, because I know these things can be pretty expensive, relatively.
Yeah. Come again?
I was asking how many pieces of artwork do you put out in a month? Your paintings, your drawings, and all of that. And how affordable are they?
They're relatively affordable, just like the way you said.
Okay, 500,000, 1 million?
Relatively. Yeah. Even more, even less.
Well,
so art is for the elites.
It's apparently not for the poor, apparently. But my first question before the issue of how much it costs is, how many do you put out? Is it by you just find yourself expressing, or you are commissioned to do some of this art? And how many do you churn out in a month?
It depends on for example, if it is a commissioned work, there's usually a deadline. But ordinarily, if I'm creating and then juggling it and balancing it with life, motherhood, marriage, relationship, friends, so you find out that sometimes in a month, depending on the mood, sometimes you cannot even produce even a single work in a month. And then another month will come, you're producing beyond 3, 4, 5, depending on the situation on ground, and then the clients you have and the demand at them.
So thank God you mentioned your family. Any of your child showing that tendency towards the arts in that sense?
Yes, my daughter Aisha.
Any of the children, yeah.
Yes, my daughter Aisha. In fact, when I was coming this morning, I dropped them off at school and they were like, Mommy, make sure you call our names.
Oh, really?
Okay, please call all their names.
For the sake of, so that you don't have children crisis when you go home. Please call their names for peace to reign. So I'm going to keep quiet, and you're going to speak to the camera and call their names so it can be recorded for them, because they are special.
Okay. My oldest son is Aliu. He's 14, almost getting to 15. And then the second daughter, which is more of a creative than I am, is Aisha. She's 11, going to 12. And then I have an 8-year-old, which is Abdurrahman.
God bless all three of them.
Yes, all three. There are 3 of them, which Aisha is more creative than I am.
Okay, Aisha, you heard your mom, so there should not be any problem when she comes on Bukola.
And as we wind down, in 30 seconds, talk to us about mentoring. There's a growing pool of artists from Northern extraction, and we have interviewed them on this platform, and it's quite exciting to note. But are you having mentoring sessions as a form of give back, particularly to young girls from the North?
Yes, I do. And the key thing I always tell them is be yourself and be truthful to yourself. Because sometimes I read something somewhere which I really agree with, and it resonates with me very well, when it says everyone is trying to be unique. Everyone is trying to be unique. Yes, it's good to be unique, but at every given time, try to be truthful to yourself and dare yourself to be yourself.
fine place to leave it. Fatima Messiah is our guest on this one. Creative visual artist, art therapist, and founder of Colorful Whispers, who has joined us from our Abuja studios. And our warm regards to Aliyu, Aisha, and the third one? Abdurrahman. Thank you so much, Fatima Messiah, for your time on the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was nice being here.
I must say, a colorful offering that we've had today on the program. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I hope you have too.
Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga. Sunrise Daily is up next at the top of the hour. Bye-bye.
And I am Bukola Koka. See you again for the home stretch tomorrow.